Hey, beautiful Gemini souls, come sit with me for a moment, because what I am about to share with you today is going to touch something deep inside your heart. I know you have been feeling this weight lately, this heaviness that comes when you look around and realize that maybe nobody truly understands what you are going through right now. You are in this season of life where you thought things would be different, where you imagined you would feel more settled, more understood, more seen. But instead, there is this loneliness that creeps in during the quiet moments. And I want you to know that God sees you right where you are. He has not forgotten about you, my dear Gemini. In fact, He is about to reveal something so profound through these cards today that I believe will shift your entire perspective on this season you are walking through. I have my cards here in front of me. And before I even pulled them, I spent time in prayer asking God to speak directly to your heart. Because this is not just about reading energy or interpreting symbols. This is about understanding what the divine is trying to communicate to you in this very moment. You know what breaks my heart? It is knowing that so many of you Gemini souls are sitting there feeling invisible, feeling like your depth is not appreciated, feeling like the people around you only see the surface of who you are. You have always been the one who adapts, who communicates, who brings lightness to heavy situations. But who is doing that for you? Who is sitting with you in your complexity? Who is taking the time to understand that behind that quick wit and that charming smile, there is a soul that craves genuine connection and deep understanding? The loneliness that comes in the later seasons of life hits different, does it not? It is not the same as being alone when you are young and still figuring things out. This is the kind of loneliness that settles in when you realize that the connections you thought would last forever have faded, that the dreams you held about how your life would look have not quite materialized the way you hoped, that the person you thought you would become feels distant from who you actually are right now. And for a Gemini, this is especially painful because you thrive on connection, on exchange, on being understood in all your multifaceted glory. You are not someone who can be put in a box, and yet it feels like the world keeps trying to do exactly that. But here is what I want you to hold on to as we move through this reading together. God is doing something in this isolation. I know that sounds strange, maybe even painful to hear, but stay with me. Sometimes the divine removes certain connections, certain comforts, certain expectations from our lives, not to punish us, but to prepare us for something so much greater than we could imagine. The loneliness you are feeling right now is not your final destination. It is a transition point, a sacred pause where God is inviting you to go deeper with Him, to discover parts of yourself that you could only find in the stillness, to heal wounds that you have been too busy to address. Let me pull these cards for you now. And I am telling you, what comes through is going to speak directly to where you are. I am asking the divine to show us what you need to know about this season of loneliness, what lessons are being offered to you right now, and what is waiting for you on the other side of this difficult time. Take a deep breath with me. Center yourself. And know that you are not alone in this moment, even if it feels like you are. God is right here with us, and He is about to speak truth and hope into your situation. All right, I am pulling the first card now, and oh, Gemini, this is so significant. I have the Hanged Man coming through for you, and I need you to really hear what this card is trying to tell you about your current season. This is not a card about being stuck, even though I know it might feel that way right now. The Hanged Man is about willing suspension, about choosing to pause and see things from a completely different perspective. And here is what God is showing me through this card for you specifically. You are not being punished with this loneliness. You are being repositioned. Can you feel the difference in those two words? Punishment versus repositioning. One implies that you did something wrong, and you are paying for it. The other implies that something better is coming, and you need to be in a different position to receive it. The Hanged Man is suspended upside down, and from that inverted position, He sees the entire world differently. Everything that looked one way when he was standing upright now reveals new dimensions, new truths, new possibilities. This is exactly what God is doing in your life right now, Gemini. He is turning your perspective upside down so that you can see what you have been missing. For so long, you have been moving at the speed of thought, which for a Gemini is incredibly fast. You have been jumping from conversation to conversation, idea to idea, relationship to relationship, always adapting, always adjusting, always being whatever version of yourself the situation required. And in all that movement, in all that adaptation, you lost touch with the core of who you are. You became so good at being what others needed that you forgot what you need. This period of loneliness that feels so painful right now is actually God pressing pause on all that external noise so you can finally hear your own voice again. The Hanged Man teaches us that sometimes the most productive thing we can do is absolutely nothing. Sometimes growth does not come from taking action, but from surrendering to a process that is beyond our control. I know this is hard for you, Gemini, because your nature is to do something, to talk to someone, to connect somehow. But what if this season is about learning to just be? What if God is teaching you that your worth is not tied to how many people understand you, but to how deeply you understand yourself and your relationship with the divine? Here is what I am sensing very strongly as I sit with this card for you. The people who made you feel unseen, the relationships that left you feeling shallow and misunderstood, those were not failures on your part. Those were divine removals. God was clearing out connections that were keeping you in a cycle of performance rather than authenticity. Because here is the truth that the Hanged Man wants you to understand. You cannot find deep understanding from people who are only interested in the surface version of you. And you have been giving people the surface version because you thought that was safer, easier, more acceptable. But your soul is dying for depth. Your spirit is craving authenticity. And God knows this about you, so He is allowing this period of solitude, this feeling of not being understood, because He is preparing you to attract and recognize the kind of connections that will actually nourish your soul. But first, you have to get comfortable with the silence. You have to get comfortable with being misunderstood by the masses so you can be deeply understood by the few who matter. The Hanged Man is telling you that this sacrifice of temporary comfort is leading to permanent transformation. You are not losing anything real right now. You are only losing illusions. You are losing the false belief that you need to be everything to everyone. You are losing the exhausting pattern of shape, shifting to fit into spaces that were never meant for you. And I want to speak something over you right now that I believe is straight from God. You are not too much. You are not too complicated. You are not too difficult to understand. The right people, the divine connections that God has for you, they will not only understand you, they will celebrate every layer of who you are. They will love your contradictions. They will appreciate your depth. They will give you the space to be both light and serious, both playful and profound, both social and introspective. But you cannot meet those people while you are still contorting yourself to keep connections that do not serve your highest good. The Hanged Man is also deeply connected to sacrifice and spiritual awakening. And what I am hearing for you, Gemini, is that this loneliness is your spiritual awakening. You are waking up to the reality that surface-level connections do not feed your soul. You are waking up to the truth that being understood by the wrong people is more lonely than being alone. You are waking up to the divine invitation to go deeper with God, to build a relationship with Him that becomes your foundation rather than making human connection your foundation. When you build your sense of belonging on human relationships alone, you will always feel unstable because people are unpredictable. But when you build your foundation on your relationship with God, you become unshakable. Then human connections become beautiful additions to your life rather than desperate needs. I also want you to pay attention to the fact that the hanged man is suspended, but he is not struggling. He is in a state of surrender. He has released the need to control his circumstances, and instead, he is trusting the process. This is your invitation, Gemini. Stop fighting the loneliness. Stop resisting this season. Stop trying to force connections that are not flowing naturally. Instead, surrender to what God is doing in this pause. Pray into it. Journal through it. Let yourself feel the full weight of this isolation, because on the other side of that feeling is freedom. Freedom from the exhausting cycle of seeking validation from people who cannot give you what you need. Freedom from the painful pattern of dimming your light to make others comfortable. Freedom to finally be yourself without apology. Let me pull the second card, because I can feel there is more that needs to come through for you. And wow, Gemini, this is beautiful. I just pulled the Four of Wands, and this is making me emotional because of what it represents in contrast to where you are right now. The Four of Wands is the card of celebration, of home, of finding your people, of stability and joy after a period of hard work or difficulty. And the fact that this is showing up for you right now is God saying that this loneliness is temporary. This season of feeling unseen and misunderstood is not your forever reality. It is a chapter, not the whole story. The Four of Wands shows us a scene of homecoming, of gathering, of finally arriving at a place where we belong. And I want you to really let this sink in, Gemini. God is showing you through this card that there is a celebration waiting for you on the other side of this isolation. There are connections waiting for you that will feel like home. There are people who will see you, truly see you, and you will not have to perform or pretend or simplify yourself for them. The Four of Wands represents that moment when all the struggle makes sense because you finally understand that it was leading you here, to this place of genuine belonging. But here is what makes this card even more powerful in your reading. The Four of Wands is not just about external celebration. It is about internal stability. It is about building a foundation within yourself that cannot be shaken by external circumstances. And this is what God has been doing in you during this lonely season. He has been helping you build an internal home, a sense of self that is so solid and so secure that you will never again feel homeless in your own life, even if external circumstances change. You have been learning that you can be your own home. You can provide yourself with the understanding and acceptance that you have been seeking from others. Now I need to tell you something that might challenge you a bit, but I think it is important. The Four of Wands comes after we have done the work. It comes after we have laid the foundation. It comes after we have learned the lessons of the earlier cards. And what this means for you, practically, is that you cannot skip the season you are in right now to get to the celebration. You have to walk through this loneliness with intention. You have to let it teach you what it is here to teach you. You have to let God do the deep work in your heart that can only happen in the silence. Because when you rush through a season, you miss the lesson. And then you end up repeating the same patterns in the next season. So while the Four of Wands is showing you that joy and connection and belonging are absolutely in your future, it is also asking you to honor the present moment. It is asking you to trust that God is building something in you right now that will be the foundation for everything that comes next. Think about it this way. When you build a house, the foundation is not the exciting part. Nobody celebrates the foundation. Nobody takes pictures of the concrete being poured. But without a solid foundation, everything you build on top of it will eventually crumble. That is what this season is. God is pouring the foundation for the next chapter of your life, and it does not look glamorous right now. But it is absolutely necessary. The Four of Wands is also deeply connected to the idea of finding your tribe, your soul family, your people who get you without explanation. And Gemini, I am telling you with full confidence that God is preparing these connections for you. But he needed to clear out the old connections first. He needed to remove the people who were taking up space that belongs to your true soul family. You cannot pour new wine into old wineskins, as the Bible tells us. You cannot build new, authentic, deep connections while you are still holding on to relationships that require you to be inauthentic. God is making room. He is clearing the path. He is preparing both you and the people who are meant to find you. And here is something beautiful about the Four of Wands that I want you to hold on to. This card often appears when we are about to experience a homecoming, but not the kind where we return to where we were. It is a homecoming to who we truly are. It is that moment when you finally step into full authenticity and everything clicks into place. The loneliness you are feeling right now is happening because you are between homes. You left the old version of yourself, the one who performed and pleased and pretended, but you have not fully stepped into the new version yet, the one who is authentic and confident and unapologetic. You are in that uncomfortable transition space, and it feels lonely because you do not quite fit anywhere right now. But Gemini, that is exactly where you are supposed to be. You are shedding an old skin. You are being reborn. And rebirth is messy and uncomfortable, and yes, often lonely. But the Four of Wands promises you that there is a celebration coming. There is a moment approaching when you will look around at your life and realize that everything you went through, every painful moment of isolation, every night you cried because you felt so misunderstood, it was all worth it because it led you here. It led you to genuine connection. It led you to people who celebrate you as you are. It led you to a version of yourself that you actually like, not just tolerate. The Four of Wands is God putting a flag in the ground and saying this is where you're headed. So keep walking, keep trusting. Keep believing that I am working all things together for your good. Let me pull one more card for you because I feel like there is a final piece that needs to come through to complete this message. And Gemini, this is so perfect. I have Wheel of Fortune in front of me, and I am actually getting chills because of what this means for where you are right now. The Wheel of Fortune is the card of cycles, of change, of divine timing, of knowing that nothing stays the same forever. And the message here is so clear. This season of loneliness is turning. The wheel is moving. Your circumstances are shifting. God is orchestrating changes in your life that you cannot see yet, but they are happening behind the scenes. The Wheel of Fortune reminds us that life moves in cycles. There are seasons of difficulty and seasons of ease, seasons of isolation and seasons of connection, seasons of questioning and seasons of clarity. And you have been in a difficult cycle. I know you have. But the wheel is turning, Gemini. It is already in motion. The very fact that you are here receiving this message right now is part of the divine orchestration. God is speaking to you through these cards to prepare your heart for what is coming next. He is letting you know that you have not been forgotten, that your prayers have been heard, that the loneliness you are feeling is not punishment, but preparation. Here is what I love about the Wheel of Fortune in your reading specifically. This card is ruled by Jupiter, the planet of expansion, growth, luck, and blessings. And what that tells me is that God is not just moving you from loneliness to mild connection. He is moving you from isolation to abundance of connection. He is not just giving you one person who understands you. He is bringing you a whole community of souls who resonate with who you truly are. The wheel is turning in your favor, and when it completes this turn, you are going to be amazed at how different your life looks. You are going to look back on this season and understand why it had to happen exactly the way it did. The Wheel of Fortune also speaks to the idea that we are not in control of timing. God is. And I know you have probably been asking him why this is taking so long, why you have to feel this lonely for this extended period, why he has not brought the right people into your life yet. But divine timing is not the same as human timing. God sees the entire picture while we only see this one moment. He knows what needs to happen internally before the external can shift. He knows what lessons you need to learn before you are ready for the connections He has prepared for you. The wheel of fortune is asking you to trust the timing even when you do not understand it. I also want to point out that the wheel of fortune has 4 figures in the corners representing the 4 fixed signs of the zodiac, and they are all reading books. This symbolizes that there is wisdom to be gained in every season, even the difficult ones. Your loneliness has a curriculum. There are things you are learning right now that you could not learn any other way. You are learning self-sufficiency. You are learning that your worth is not dependent on external validation. You are learning to distinguish between surface connections and soul connections. You are learning to be comfortable with yourself, all by yourself. These are not small lessons, Gemini. These are foundation-building, life-changing, trajectory-shifting lessons. And God knows you need these lessons before He brings in the next season, because without them, you would repeat the same patterns that led to the loneliness in the first place. The wheel of fortune is also deeply connected to karma and cause and effect. And I want to speak this over you with authority. Every moment you have spent in prayer during this lonely season, every time you chose faith over fear, every time you trusted God even when you could not see the path forward, all of that is creating positive karma that is going to return to you multiplied. The universe, God, the divine, whatever you want to call it, is keeping track. Your faithfulness in the dark is going to be rewarded in the light. Your willingness to keep believing even when circumstances have not changed yet, that is creating an energetic momentum that is going to carry you into the next season with so much grace and ease. And here is what I want to leave you with. Gemini, because I think this is the most important thing you need to hear right now. The loneliness you are feeling, the sense that nobody understands you, this is not a reflection of your worth or your value. This is simply a season of transition. You are between chapters. You are in the space where the old has ended, but the new has not fully begun. And that space is uncomfortable. It is supposed to be, because if it was comfortable, you would stay there. But God is moving you forward. The wheel is turning. The 4 of Wands celebration is being prepared. The Hanged Man perspective shift is happening within you. And when all these energies come together, you are going to step into a version of your life that is so much richer and more authentic than anything you have experienced before. So my encouragement to you today is this. Stop fighting the season. Stop resisting the loneliness. Stop trying to force connections that are not aligned with who you are becoming. Instead, lean into what God is doing. Spend time in prayer, asking Him to reveal what you are meant to learn right now. Journal about what this isolation is showing you about yourself. Get curious about your own depth instead of seeking people to validate it for you. And most importantly, trust that the wheel is turning. Trust that this is not forever. Trust that God has not brought you this far to leave you here. He is preparing something beautiful for you, and every day you remain faithful in this difficult season, you are getting closer to seeing it manifest. You are loved. You are seen. You are understood by the one who matters most. And the human connections that reflect that divine love are on their way to you.